television. Nothing. Blanco hadn't left Rio de Janeiro with anyone except the one person Caesar knew would be with him, Alvis's young and long-time personal assistant, Carolina Sosa. She was the one person who had access to many of the old man's accounts and other verifiable information. She was the gateway to Alvis's riches. Caesar withdrew a small magnetic card, a used but very valuable card. It came from the hotel, which took only a few hours to find in Sao Paulo, from a person who could encode a master keycard for almost any hotel in the city. He held it in his left hand and twisted his wrist to peer at his watch, waiting. Any time, Will. When Caesar heard the phone finally ring inside the room, he moved quickly, inserting the card into the door's lock and pulling it back out. The loud click was masked by the telephone's ring, and Caesar immediately pushed the door ajar, just enough to prevent the lock from re-engaging. In the same motion, he brought the tip of his left shoe forward to prop the door open by half an inch. The phone rang again, echoing through the room. The third ring was the last, immediately plunging the room back into silence. With another quick glance over his shoulder, Caesar pressed his ear close to the cracked door. No footsteps. No movement at all that he could hear. He pushed the door in further and was met by a cool draft of air escaping past him. The door opened further without any noise, allowing Caesar a look inside. Down the entrance hallway, he spotted a dark polished table with chairs perfectly arranged. He stepped inside, keeping the gun low but in front. The pain in his ribs screamed as he twisted around to ease the door closed, a result of the near-fatal wound Blanco had given him. The door gave a muted click shut, and Caesar eased forward over the spotless marble flooring. He stepped away from the wall and gradually edged himself around the corner. Then he froze. The scene before him was not what he was expecting. The room seemed pristine except for two dining room chairs positioned in the middle. In each chair sat a motionless figure, bound and bloodied, both gagged, with their heads down upon their chests. The first was a woman, barely recognizable through the dark brunette hair dangling in front of her face. Carolina Sosa. The second was Miguel Blanco himself, his body slumping but held in place by the ropes around his waist. Neither was moving. Caesar immediately stepped back out of sight, leaving only the gun and half of his face exposed. The scene looked fresh enough that the murderer could still be inside the suite. After waiting a minute, he slowly eased himself back away from the wall and moved at a wedged angle, slowly peering back into the main room. He crept forward onto soft carpet. Caesar rounded the next doorway, staying well away from the corner, providing him maximum visibility. It took several minutes to ensure the entire suite was clear, after which Caesar returned to the front room. He gazed at the two lifeless bodies. Approaching the pair, he stared into Carolina's hair-strewn face. Beneath the dark strands, he could see her badly bruised skin. He passed by her and stopped in front of Blanco. The man's face was entirely black and blue, his gag now fallen halfway off. He stared at Blanco for a long time, finally shaking his head. Living a life of deceit often ended abruptly, and sometimes violently. The small rubber tourniquet hanging from the man's arm told Caesar that whatever secrets Blanco had now belonged to someone else. They had literally beaten and drugged it out of him. It was too bad Caesar hadn't gotten to him first. At least he would have lived. He scanned the room one last time before returning the gun smoothly to its holster. Caesar began to turn for the door when something suddenly caught his eye, startling him. His gun was back out before his brain even registered what it was. Blanco had moved. It was slight, but it was movement. Blanco's eyes remained closed, but the movement was more than just residual muscle twitching. Caesar waited, with his gun lowered but gripped firmly between both hands. Then it happened again. With one hand he reached up.